everybody, welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Starr, and tonight it is Friday. Man, I am so glad to be done with another work week. You know, I've gotten to where I just really look forward to coming home on Fridays, opening up a good beer, sharing it with you guys, and tonight that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this week. You know, if you've been with me on Monday and Wednesday, you'll know that I have been focusing on this brewery called Dolle, and they are out of Belgium. So not a whole lot you can probably say bad about these guys. The first two beers that I've had, the Dolle and the Hopry, both very, very solid beers. So I would say that I'm expecting that out of this one, but I know what to expect because I've actually had this one before. But I don't know if you've noticed, but the transitions that I have, with these weeks is that I really like to start off with some of the lighter beers, work into some of the, the heavier beers, and then on into the stouts and things like that. So that's what I'm going to do with the Dolle. I'm going to finish it up with their stout. This is actually called their Extra Export Stout. It clocks in right at 9%. And thank God, because this is just 11.2 ounces, and that's really, just enough to kind of take the edge off from the day. Anyway, again, this is their special extra export stout, and this is how we're going to wrap up Friday. So let me go ahead and get this pouring. And much like their other beers, again, I can tell, and I know just from previous experience, that there's a lot of head that comes off of these beers. Just to show you a little bit, there we go. Now, I poured it a little bit harder than I normally do because I think people probably get tired of seeing me not go all the way to the top. Well, there you go. There's your 4 fingers of head. I could get that every time if I wanted to, but the difference is that I choose not to. So, but anyway, traditional color for a stout. I'm sure you can see that it's pretty dark. Now, this isn't black. This isn't like squid ink black. It's not like Dark Lord or 1050 or something that's just ink black. This is really about as dark brown as you can get before turning black. So it's dark, but I can tell there's a little bit of tan in there, and even maybe just a really nice prune color right around the edges. A lot of times you'll see ruby red colors around the edges if you hold it up to a light. This one's not quite that. It's more of a raisin color. So the head on it, obviously, I talked about pouring it earlier. I poured it all the way up. Really good, 3-4 fingers of head on that one. And the head, to be honest with you, really, although a little bit different color, this is a light tan color, really is about the same consistency as the other 2 beers that we've had from this brewery this week. So I would say that their process is probably the same for most of their beers. Obviously, there's a difference in the malts and certain yeast that they may use, but really getting a lot of the same visual components that I do across the board. So again, just briefly, I want to go back to subtleties and timelessness in beers, and that's why I wanted to really feature this brewery, because my experience has told me that they just do everything very well. They're not trying to be experimental. But they're just making really solid, timeless beers. So we've talked about the color. Let's go ahead and smell it. So it definitely smells Belgian, obviously. There's a big difference in American stouts or Russian imperial stouts and Belgian stouts. And the main difference really is in the yeast characteristic. A lot of Belgian, stouts are coming out these days. There's even one here locally from Boulevard Brewing Company called the Dark Truth Stout, and that has a really strong Belgian quality as well. Stephen Powell's the master brewer there, is from Belgium, and he uses a lot of those Belgian yeasts. But this really kind of reminds me of a cross between that and, say, a Rochefort 8 or a Rochefort 12 even. It's definitely got that Belgian quality. Let me taste it and see. Again, this is why I don't always pour my beers so high up, because it's really hard for me to get my nose in there and open this beer up to get a good smell. I imagine that I'll probably start to smell it a lot more as I drink it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Yeah, so, this is nowhere near an Imperial Stout. So if you taste an Imperial Stout and you taste this is almost going to taste like a quadruple to you. There's a nice roastiness in there. There's a bit of bitterness, but it's not a real big beer, meaning it's not real like chewy like you would imagine, like a stout would be. I would even say like a milk stout or something feels like it has a lot more body than this. This really kind of tastes like a quadruple to me, but maybe just a little bit darker. I will tell you though, if you are expecting a stout, if you're expecting like a Black Albert or like a Bourbon County Stout or Old Rasputin, don't get this beer because that's not what it is. It's a lot more Belgian again, but it's almost like you took an Old Rasputin, put about 10%, 15% of it in the bottom of the glass, and then filled it the rest of the way with like a Rochefort. You're going to notice that there is a lot of Belgian influence here. And I kind of like that though. I don't necessarily have to have an explosive, extremely robust stout every time I have a stout. When you talk about the lighter end of stouts, like say a Guinness, to me Guinness tastes like mud water. Now if you like Guinness, hey, I don't care. That's fine. That's cool. I'm happy for you. For me, my personal taste is that I'm just not into Guinness. It tastes like mud water. It doesn't have a lot of body. It's not very robust. This is really right in between. So this isn't watery, but it's not roasty either. I think really you'll like this one. I would say it's probably my least favorite of the three that I've had, just because I think the Triple and the Belgian Strong were both extremely good efforts. And I think I'll put my scores on at the end. I'm trying to get away from scoring these on camera. A lot of times I like to just, shut off and think about it and really kind of take the beer in. So I'm being a lot more cautious with my scores these days. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this brewery. I hope you can go out and find some beers by this brewery. I would say in order of favorites, I would go with the beer that we did on Wednesday first, the Or beer. And then I might do the Triple, the Dolle, and then maybe this one last. And that's not even to say this one's bad. I'm just kind of ranking them in order of my preference. But, well, anyway, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks a lot for coming back. My name is Mark Starr. Follow me on Twitter. Go to twitter.com/thehopry, and always go to my website, thehopry.com. Leave me a message. Cheers. See, and that will tell you, look at that. That was, as J.J. David would say, that's free.